welcome to Creative Block. We're your hosts, VEE
and Sean. We interview people in the creative industries about their life, their work, their hobbies, all while we doodle jam together.
We asked people on our social medias if they had specific topics they wanted us to discuss, as well as some drawing prompts.
Today, we have with us AMI GUILLÉN.
Hello.
Welcome. Hi.
Hello. I'm going to wave even if you won't see me.
I'm so glad that you wanted to come on the podcast. Your art is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
We don't have a point of view on the animation industry from Mexico, and you have worked on shows for Cartoon Network from Mexico, and I think that is so cool. Can you tell us a little bit about how you grew up and how you decided to pursue a career in art?
Yeah, but the thing is that it's different too, because I know people work in Cartoon Network, like on the Cartoon Network studio in LA and all that. But the thing is that for me, at least, it's like I'm not working for those people. I'm literally working for Cartoon Network LA, which is Latin America. So a lot of things are different. You will think like, what? So what could be so different from that? But like, it's hard. It's harder. It's been a bumpy road for years.
Can you describe some of the things that make it more difficult or challenging, or maybe different than how it might be normally?
The thing is that you want to do stuff, and most times they tell you no.
You know what I will say is that actually might be something that you have in common with other people working at Cartoon Network. I think there's a lot of saying no, but maybe not.
I'm gonna say that, but like the thing is that I know how it is over there and all that, but I don't think it's as bad as here, sadly. Because if you're not friends with the people in here, it's very hard to it's basically impossible to get anything done if you're not friends with the people who are on top. Like, yeah, it's very, very hard. Like, for example, my boss isn't like really friends with the people on there, and he managed to do something to have the show where I worked on. But it, like, I saw how hard it was. So, and it keeps being hard, like still. And even if it's been years, it's something that's it's tiring, but it's like, it's starting. So there's maybe in the future, there's more chances, and maybe in the future, more people can actually achieve stuff. And maybe I'm just being hopeful, but.
How does that show up for you in the day-to-day? So like you say that it's bumpy or that it's hard to get anything done when you're working on a project. What might be some struggles in the past that have happened on a project where you're like, man, I really wish that I was either in LA or I was friends with these people and I was able to like explain these things from a different place?
Well, I mean, I think everyone has been like, oh, I want to be in LA and work on my favorite shows and all that. I think it's impossible not to think that at least once, right?
Yeah.
I've been all right. Wait, I'm going to say something. This character has 3 eyes. She has another eye.
Oh, she has another eye on her forehead. I'm going to add that right now.
There we go.
Yay. Thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah, it's actually something very important.
We got our first design notes from Ami.
Yeah, actually, that's my job.
So redlining them.
Yeah, like my job is mostly redlining stuff and being like, oh, you have to do this, you have to do that, fix this, before my boss says it.
How'd you like doing the red lines? Is this something that you're like? Was it ever scary giving people notes, or were you just kind of like, oh yeah?
No, it was. Like at first it was hard because I have dealt with many different people at work. So I have dealt with people that have been like, hey, can you fix it? And they have been like straight up, no, I don't want to. And I'll be like, oh, okay. all right, I'm gonna fix it, but when you leave and like take an all-nighter probably because this has to be fixed and you don't want to fix it.
Ah, that is so crazy. But it does happen though. That is true. Sometimes people will like give you attitude and the work still
Yeah,
has to be done. Yeah.
yeah, and it was like I'm so miserable right now. Yeah, but like it wasn't forever, so it's like okay, now like right now, for example, we haven't been in the production for a while.
Mm.
I miss it. I really miss it because like my current teammates, the crew, I love them so much because it's very easy to work with them. And like I give red lines and be like, hey, fix this. This character has three eyes, actually. Like you have to fix that. And like right now, the people I work with are like, oh right, I forgot, sorry. And they'll just do it. And it's like, wow, turns out it's so easy. Yeah, and I've had people like here in Mexico, there are hardly I mean, right now there are a bit more, but there didn't used to be many like animation schools or anything. It's very hard. It's a
Mm.
very new thing. Like I'm pretty sure we're like 15 at least years late to the party, I'll say,
Mm.
or even more. There is no like a proper industry in here.
How did you learn your skills? How did you learn drawing? Were you all entirely self-taught?
Yeah, basically. I think there's a question about that. Like, who's your inspiration? All that. When I was very young, I remember like the day even. I was 7 years old, I think, and I saw Samurai Jack. And I mean, I was a huge Powerpuff Girls fan. Like, I loved Craig McCracken and Genndy Tartakovsky like a lot. To this day, I love them a lot too. But I remember being like, when I was 7, like, oh, I'm gonna work for a Cartoon Network when I'm older somehow. And well, it came true, but like right now it's like, oh, it's I mean, I think that the sweetness died off because it's like it's
No.
work.
Yeah, I got
I
you.
know exactly what you mean though, because I feel like we've all gone through this where it's like for me, I remember watching Cartoon Network as a child and being like, this is so cool. I'm never gonna be able to do that. And then the day where you do actually work at the studio, we're like, yeah, it's a job.
I'm gonna be very honest. When I was starting to work, I was so excited because I love the project a lot. And I still love the project a lot. It's very fun. Like villainous.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish we can keep working on it soon because it's very fun. Like I know I tell you, like I had to deal with some stuff and not everything has been great, but the great things have actually been very great. So
Yeah, and it's such a good
yeah.
looking show and it's so fun and it's so like kind of silly but also like irreverent. It's like it's a really really fun show and there was a part of I feel like there was a part of me when I kind of like saw clips of it where I was like, wow, that is so cool that they got this show made at all because I feel like that would be such a hard show to like pitch, you know, like all bad guys kind of thing where it's like I feel like when Villainous came out, I feel like at the time, like the studios weren't really kind of picking up that kind of stuff. Like now we have things like Has Hotel where it's like bad guys too. Like that's been picked up by Amazon. But like the Villainous was prior to that. That was like before.
No, yeah. Actually, I don't know how my boss managed. Like everything has three eyes now. I like that. I like that everything. Wait, Ace needs three eyes too. No, yeah, it was. I don't know how he managed to do that, but I'm glad because it was a step forward for animation in Mexico, and I'm glad I was part of that. And so, and it was a challenge because it's like there wasn't anything like it back then.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, okay, let's see. We're making something new.
And how did you get the job? How was the process like? Did you find an application online? Like, you
No,
know?
actually, the story is very funny. I'm gonna tell it because it's very funny. So I was living on, like right now I'm in Mexico City, but I'm not from Mexico City. So like, it's the big city of Mexico, but I'm not from here. So I was on my hometown. That's why it's a very tiny hometown. It's a city. It is a city, but there's not much, if anything, there. But I was like, okay, I used to just draw since I was like little because I tell you, when I was 7, I was like, I love. Actually, I had a huge crush on Samurai Jack. I don't know why.
First cartoon crush.
Yeah, I think he was my first cartoon crush. He looks nothing like all my other cartoon crushes, but somehow he was the first.
Yeah, just for every guy that you have a crush on afterwards, you just wish that they were kind of a man made out of rectangles a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I just wish you were a little bit less round
Yeah,
in your
no,
features.
lineless.
I wish you were lineless, and I wish that you were made out of rectangles.
Yeah, I wish you were made out by Gendy Tartakovsky. Yeah, that's... Yeah. Well, wait, I forgot where I was going because I
Well,
Oh, no.
You had a crush on Samurai Jack from your
Yeah.
hometown, and then something
Oh,
happened.
right. Yeah, the funny story. I'm sorry, Samurai Jack was very distracting. The three-eyed Samurai Jack is also very distracting. I'm sorry.
It's another eye to get lost in.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, it was in my hometown, and I've been drawing since I was little, and I had my dream of, hey, I wanna work for Cartoon Network. Like, I was set on Cartoon Network. Like, I wasn't set on any other studio. It was like my dream thing. So then I was like, a lot of stuff happened in my life when I was around 18. It was very bad, but then I kind of got through it. And when I was a bit older, like about 19, I think I was about to turn 20 or something. I kind of like run away from home.
Oh.
To my grandma, but I mean, I was safe, it's not like it wasn't very bad. But yeah, I kind of like ran away because I just wanted to get away from the tiny city because there was nothing in there.
Did you have internet though?
Yeah, I had internet access since a very young age, so that's how I learned to draw a lot. I used to go on DeviantArt when I was on middle school. I saw things I shouldn't have seen.
I think we all did.
Yeah.
The wild west of the internet.
I do feel like I saw things I shouldn't have seen. It like describes the internet experience very well.
Yeah, like at 11 years old, watching things like, maybe this surely won't ruin up my head. This will be good for my brain, surely. Yeah, so I kind of was self-taught on things I saw online.
Did you mostly use like tutorials, or were you doing like copy work? I love to ask people who are self-taught like how they learned kind of to draw. Were you doing life drawing? What was kind of like your process overall?
Well, there weren't many tutorials back then, honestly. I just like my parents had a computer and they will let me use it, and they had Photoshop, so I learned to use Photoshop, and they will let me use it and test and try stuff on it. So that's how and we also had a scanner. So when I was little, I would scan my drawings and paint them on Photoshop. Like I'm gonna be thankful for that because I had a lot of tools from a very young age.
That is cool.
Yeah. So that's how I actually managed to learn a lot because I had the access to that. And like back then, having I hadn't seen the marriage thingy. Well,
so good.
It's amazing. Well, back then, having a tablet, for example, was not something common. People didn't even know what a tablet was.
Yeah.
Especially in a tiny hometown. Yeah. In a tiny city, it was like, what is that? I'm so very glad because I saw people online had them. Yeah. So I asked my parents when we came to this city, to Mexico City, I asked them to get me one, and they did. It was a small Wacom tablet. It was kind of like slightly shit, but it was good for me back then. It
Did it have
wasn't
a
very
screen, or was
expensive.
it one of the like
Of course not.
Okay,
Yeah, it
It
was
was,
like a bamboo, right?
Yeah.
Like the little
yeah, I'm
one.
gonna draw it like the hardest drawing I'll ever do. I'm gonna draw it like in my hair. It was something like this. I'm not
I
Yeah, I
remember
think my
the
first one
very
was
first.
like a bamboo
there.
tablet like that
That's
too.
it. That's where
Yeah,
you could draw.
Hey.
when I remember, this is exactly my story. I remember wanting a tablet because I saw it online, and I bought it with my money. I forget if I bought it online or if we went to a store. I think we had to go to a store, but it was like a shitty off-brand. It was not Wacom, but it worked. It was so nice.
Yeah.
Like it was like going from the mouse to the tablet.
Yeah,
Oh
exactly.
my
Superpower.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt amazing. I was like, whoa, I'm so powerful.
Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you ever do the hack where you tape a piece of paper over top of it so that it feels like you're drawing on paper?
I used to do that, but because I felt like it will like keep the tablet better, not because I wanted to feel the paper. I
Wow.
didn't know
You
it
guys
was
are
to
like
feel the paper.
so much smarter than me. I didn't even think of that.
Well, yeah. So,
Oh
so
my God.
it can do the sensors through the paper, and so I missed the feeling of like that paper texture. So I used to tape a piece of paper on top.
Yeah, I used to do the same, but like I used to not like this. I used to put a paper like this and make it like surround it and tape it up there. Yeah, so that it wouldn't get too much stretches in here.
That is so funny. Yeah, you didn't want it to get all scratched out.
Yeah, so that's why I did it. So yeah, moving on to because I could manage to do that. So I started uploading on DeviantArt, and then I deleted my DeviantArt because it was like I was drawing shitty stuff because I was at middle school, you know. So then I deleted it, and then when I was like a bit later in high school, yeah, wait, no, I deleted it when I was in the first years of high school, and then sometime later I found a place of fun called Tumblr.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Or so you
Yeah.
thought.
Or so we
Or
thought.
you
Yeah.
thought it was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, honestly, I'm gonna be so very honest. Teenagers shouldn't become like popular on the
Demons.
internet.
Oh.
No, what the?
I thought you meant they become demons on Tumblr.
No. I meant it like getting, because I eventually got popular on Tumblr, but the thing is that it's not healthy for a teenager to do that, you
I
know?
think that is so interesting that you bring that up because I always wondered about this. I've never talked to an artist who was extremely popular on the social media in their teenage years. And I think you bring up like a really interesting point because I do feel like a lot of our listeners might be like, well, I don't have any followers. I wish I was more famous online. But what was your experience as a teenager having a lot of followers? Like, why do you think it's not healthy?
It's not healthy because it's kind of obvious, but it messes with your psyche. So, because you have a lot of random people that don't know you and they think they do, and they don't check your age and they don't care that, because something that's true. Teenagers make mistakes. That's the whole point of like
Yes.
your teenage years.
Yeah.
I think it's better to make mistakes when you're on your teenage years than later.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And something I have seen is that, I mean, teenagers are gonna make mistakes and all that, and people don't forgive them. And it's like, dude, they're just teenagers. They don't know better because that's part of growing. But and I
It's
think
harder to make
that's what makes
mistakes.
it. Yeah.
When all your mistakes are online forever.
Exactly. And that whole what it stays in the internet stays there forever and all that is it really messes you up because because you can change your views in so little time. So growing, it's like, huh, I don't agree with this at all anymore. You know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but like you still have people being like, oh, you are obviously this thing or this thing, and they will like something that worries me is that something I see now is that they will throw very strong words, like very, very strong words and
Mm-hmm.
strong accusations over silly things, and it's like, oh my God, you really don't know how bad the thing you're saying is actually is.
Yeah,
So
that is so crazy when you think about it. How much, because I feel like as a teenager, you're still trying to figure out who you are. You're still trying to figure out so many things, and people judging you or your art when you're still kind of a baby in a way, like
yeah,
you're still just a little baby. It's kind of, yeah, it's so unfair and very,
it's
yeah.
so very unfair because I see kids. That's why I don't harass anyone. It's like, I mean, maybe, I mean, unless it's no, even if they are terrible, I don't harass them. It's just like, no, just gonna move on.
Well, I think that's also a lesson in empathy. Like I think that
Mm-hmm.
there's some people who have never been harassed and they don't know what that feels like, and so
I
they
think
when they
some
harass other
people,
people, they don't have that like empathy of how that feels.
Yeah.
you know what I believe? I believe some of those people have been harassed, but they wanna be the one to harass back.
True.
I see. Yeah, it's kind of like
How bullies work sometimes. Yeah.
yeah. It's
Yeah,
hurt people kind of thing. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And it's bad.
Mm, I think it's interesting though that you bring that up. Do you feel now that you're older and that you have a career, still would you do anything differently, or would you still do it all over again? Like, do you feel like that brought you any opportunities being like popular on Tumblr, or do you feel like you could have gotten to where you are now without the popularity
Do you
from
wish do
Tumblr?
you wish that you had harassed people more? Is there anything
Oh,
that you
Oh
would have
my God, yeah.
changed? Is there
I
anything
should
you would
have
have
been more
changed?
evil.
Yeah.
I should have been more evil. No, I will have done a lot of things differently. Like the one thing that ruined me, like gave me PTSD and all that shit. It's like, yeah, I will have not done that. Maybe that's the only thing I will have
Mm,
done differently because all of my other mistakes kind of like taught me something, but I think that one just was just bad
mm.
That makes
because
sense.
yeah, I mean mistakes are kind of good because you learn from them, but just getting harassed on Tumblr is like I didn't learn anything from this. I just wanted to die.
Yeah,
That's not good. Yeah,
yeah.
and I can't believe people like still do that because I don't know why would you do that. It sucks. It feels bad. I don't like doing it. So yeah, I would have done some things differently. But if anything, I'm glad that something good came out of everything on that. So yeah.
And so you decided to move to Mexico.
All right, I forgot. I didn't keep telling about that. Yeah, talking about the blog thingy and that is the good thing is that yeah, since I had a popular blog on Tumblr,
Mhm.
I did get because I kind of like ran away from home, but all good, guys. Don't do that though. But I was safe. I was with family, and my family knew I was fine, so all good. Because of I had that blog, I just moved like to Mexico City, and then about a week later, I got called like, hey, you should try this thing. I was called by a friend I had back then. Like, hey, your style kind of fits what we're working on. And back then there was nothing of the show because the studio was new
Mm.
and everything was new. So there was nothing. So when I was like, oh, okay, someone talked to me just when I got here. Wow, crazy. I was also very scared. So, but I did it anyways because that's okay. What's the worst that could happen? And it was someone I knew that told me. So So I was like, okay, let's go. And I was praying that I hope I don't get kidnapped, you know.
Oh my God.
That was actually my thought. Like I was on the bus, and I was like, I really hope I don't get kidnapped.
Oh my gosh,
no.
that is so scary. That is
Yeah, because there was nothing about this because it was so new, and there was hardly anything about animation in Mexico. So it was like, okay, I'm gonna take my chances.
Because when you
It's like-
think
Worst that
about
could
it,
happen.
just anybody could be like, hey, we have a studio in this building. And then
Yeah,
like people come in
exactly.
and then they yeah, that's scary.
It's like, yeah, it's like, you know, like the older version of this is when you're like a woman walking on in the street and like some random guy is like, I'm a photographer and you could be a model. Like,
Yeah.
come to my studio.
Yeah,
Except that's like the
exactly.
animation version of it.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I hope it's good. Yeah,
Oh
but
my
then I
God.
got,
So how was it like getting in the building? Like describe that experience. So you're on the bus, you're scared, and like what's the building like?
I had a hard time finding the building because it was like on a like the first place where the studio was. I mean I just went there for the interview and that was it. I never worked there per se, but I remember that it was kind of like it looked a bit like a house, like a little home,
Mm.
like a department more like. So it was like, okay. And then someone came to, but the friend I had came out, so it's like, okay, so it's true, maybe. And then I was like, okay, let's see. And then I met the boss and all that, and he was like, oh, he's nice. And everyone was like, chill. And I mean, since that's the thing that happens when there's hardly anything in Mexico, but what are you drawing?
I was
Oh
drawing
my
you
God.
on the bus on your way to the interview holding a baseball
Yeah.
bat.
Amazing. No, I was like, if I die, I die, you know? I wasn't prepared at
But
all.
you're
I was
dying
like,
for animation, and that's noble.
yeah, like, well, fuck me, I guess.
It's
We
so-
ride or die, guys. We ride or die.
That is so like that is the most literal way you could
Ride
live
and
this.
die.
Yeah, you ride or
There
die.
we
It's
go.
ride and die.
That is
Yeah.
so
Oh
funny.
no.
Oh my God. So your boss is cool.
And you didn't get murdered.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
was glad. And also, yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah.
So I didn't get murdered. Everyone was like about my age because even my boss was like just 1 year older than me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, everyone was so young because the whole studio was basically just like because I tell you there were hardly any schools or anything in here because it's so new in Mexico. So there was hardly anything. So it was like friends and people from his school.
Was the studio CNLA or was it like a whole different entity? What was the name of the studio?
Oh, it's AI Animation Studios, which is not a good name now
That
because
hits different now.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
yeah, back then my boss said something cool about it, like, oh, it's because we are creating artificial intelligence because it makes you feel like the characters are real and all that. But now it's like, oh no.
Oh my gosh. That
Yeah.
is so sweet though. Like
Yeah, like,
Mhm.
oh fuck, it was so nice, but it got ruined by tech bros.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, Dementia has a bracelet here.
Ooh, nice. I
There we go.
love that you remember all these details. I feel
Oh
like
yeah, I do.
I worked on some shows for like a million years, like The Loud House. I don't remember any of the details on these characters, even though I drew them like a million times. It's so funny.
No, I remember like so many details of all the characters because I helped with them a lot. And since I was there when I didn't know much. All I had done was I had done comics for myself. I had done many drawings for years, like, but animation per se, I had never done it. And I mean, when I got there, my bosses said like, "Oh, you're your style is kind of like the one in the show. That's great. So like my first assignment was like, can you help on the model sheets? Because we were still working on them.
Mm-hmm.
There really was nothing. Like something funny I'm gonna say is that like in the beginning, dementia and like the hair, it was so hard to get the hair like the color. Originally, it was gonna be like, oh, in each episode she dyes her hair a different color,
Oh, wow.
and it was like, yeah, we weren't set on many things, and then an artist did her hoodie thingy, and it was like a reptile. I mean, that was the intention from the beginning, but an artist did the hoodie thingy, and then I remember I colored because there were many color tests that were
Mm.
going on, and I had a character that had a green hoodie, like a lime green hoodie, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna do something like kind of like a joke, and I painted her hair that exact color,
Mm-hmm.
and my boss was like, oh, hey, that actually looks good.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, and so that exact color of my character, like of his hoodie,
Mm-hmm.
is the one that became official. And I think because she looked weird with green, all green hair, we tried to put it like kind of like hot pink on her bangs. And it was cool because when she will like she does this thing where she crawls like this.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and
But
so it covers her body.
yeah, it covers her body, but the cool thing about this being hot pink is that it looks better because green on her face looked weird. But it's also like her, like the tongue of the reptile thingy.
That is so cool. Oh,
Yeah,
that is so cool. Yeah, like so the bangs being red is kind of like the tongue of the reptile from the hoodie coming out. That is so smart.
yeah. So I really liked it. It was like, oh, this works so much better. And it was like, thank God you're not changing her hair color every episode. That would have been like awful.
Yeah, that would have been a nightmare to track.
Yeah. And also, I think it gives her more of an iconic color look
Mm-hmm.
because I really care about colors. So, because one of the things I like doing the most is coloring, like even more than drawing.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, I love colors. So I was allowed to play around with the characters and some other stuff. Like yeah, like working on the show formally. Oh my God, what is this on the next page?
Oh, this is you working at the studio with all the young people.
Yeah, I should have been a baby too. Yeah, because everyone was basically the young. I mean, I was the second youngest.
And so how was it? So you took the test and they loved it. And then
Actually, I didn't even do much of the test. It was like they saw my blog and I then kind of draw them, and it was like, oh, they come out good, good. That's great, because there was, I tell you, there was so little people that you could hire back then. It wasn't as easy. Like right now, it's a lot easier because many people have their portfolios, and a lot of people now in Mexico and in Latin America know more about animation and to get themselves out there. But back then, I mean, on the old internet, it was not many people from Mexico or Latin America were online.
mm.
And those who were kind of like hid the fact that they were from, but they were Latinos, you know?
Oh, really? Why would you say that was the case?
I don't know, but I mean, a lot of us also like, oh, it was a privilege to know English, you know?
Oh, so did you feel like a little bit of like shame, I guess, speaking English? Like,
No, there wasn't shame. It was like more, and also I didn't want people to know where I lived, you know?
oh yeah, you didn't want to be doxxed.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, that's also something I know people from the US will never understand because it's like people from other countries, like we will see stuff and you know, how do you say this? Like, but we will like take what we could and understand what we could also. So
Mm.
many things got lost in translation. So, and also, for example, Mexico back then was like you will have people say like racist slurs and all that, and it was like accepted because it was like it used to be like, oh yeah, we're Mexican, so we can say the N word, you know, and it's like, no, actually we can't. Actually, that's not good. But back then it was like something that was acceptable, and all the internet was like a lot meaner.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the old internet was so crazy. It was like the Wild West, yeah.
So yeah, that's, I mean, we, from what I saw, most Latinos tried to fit in, like to be seen kind of like just someone else online. And yeah, and I remember, like, I know Twitter sucks and all that, but I remember that Tumblr has been like the worst of that because, okay, Twitter sucks, but I had people on Tumblr once harass me being like, I don't think Amy is actually Mexican, but because her English is too good. And it was like,
oh,
what the fuck?
That is crazy.
Yeah, like they were like, she's probably racist because she's faking being Mexican. It's like, wow, that is so racist in such a new way.
That is so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that is so crazy. Yeah, I think that is something that's kind of interesting that you're bringing up is like, because you learned to speak English online, right? Just like by reading a lot of stuff online and like listening to stuff online.
Yeah, and I also like I'm thankful for my parents because they helped me. Like I learned English from a very young age. I also played video games, and I didn't understand much, but I tried.
Yeah,
that's what I kept telling some of my friends. I'm like, like some of my friends here in the US, and they're like, oh, like I only speak one language, English, and I'm like, yeah, it's really hard to learn other languages when English is your first language.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to learn English because everything is in English. So
yeah, exactly.
You have so much more incentive to learn to speak English rather than any other language because like everything's translated in English and everything that like if you're excited about like anime or whatever, it's probably translated in English first before it's translated into like any other language.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I learned from a young age, mostly because of the internet and the school and DeviantArt and video games and comics. Because I was also a huge Sonic fan when I was little. So most things were in English, so I had to figure out many things. So I learned on the bat.
You're still got your guard up.
Yeah, it looks like I'm like gonna punish the babies or something. Like keep working, babies.
Do revisions or else. Yeah. Do these revisions.
Wait, so I want to ask you. So you ended up being a supervisor on the show. How did that happen? How were they just like right off the bat, like, oh, you're gonna supervise like designs and everything, or like did you first do character design and then did you move up? How was the path like in that?
That's actually fun because I started from the bottom. Now we're here, you know. I started on designing a bit, and then I also kind of like helped on backgrounds a very little bit, just to see like, hey, let's see what everyone is good at, you know? So, hey, I'm glad I'm drawing my characters. Yay.
You're so cute. They are so cute. They're very fun to draw.
Yay. Okay, so I basically started from one thing, and then I started moving from like one thing to another because I kind of like started researching a bit more and trying more. So my boss, I'm actually glad about that because my boss is like, if he sees you are doing better, he will like ask you like, if you want to do something else, you want to do more. And if you're like, yeah, then you can test for the position, you know? So I actually think that's great because that helped me grow a lot as an artist. Because it's like, okay, I'm gonna try storyboarding because no one else knew storyboarding except kind of him, but everyone knew what they could, you know? No one was an expert or a pro. No one. We were really trying. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try because I used to do comics and storyboarding kind of like a sibling to comics.
Yep.
Yeah. I actually teach that on my classes. That is like, hey, it's funny because everything can be related.
That is so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
I was gonna say
Yeah.
that's like the reason why I ended up in storyboards because I love comics and
Yeah. That's great. Oh yeah, I actually teach that all arts benefit from each other. Like learning how to paint, for example, like will make some of the designs better because you know more about painting,
Color
or if you
theory and all
know,
that. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like, or if you know to study architecture, you can do better backgrounds because you know like some more about how actual buildings are made. So yeah, I think everything helps. That's that's actually something I love. So I was first drawing designs, then I was trying my hand at storyboarding. I was so bad back then, but I was trying my best and it helped enough. So I learned a lot from it, and then I kind of just kept growing. Then I tried. Well, it's not like I didn't want to, but we were kind of like there's not many people, so everyone has to do cleanup, you know? And so it was like, okay, I didn't want to do cleanup, but then it was like, okay, I now know cleanup. And no one knew how, like, no one was a Tumbum harmony expert, you know? So we were figuring out the program, we were figuring out how to do clever cleanup, we were figuring out everything on the go.
So you guys were like, you were doing everything from start to finish. So you were writing, storyboarding, designing, animating all the way until the final product,
All
right?
at one
Yeah,
studio.
because it's an in-house, yeah, as I said. It was
Yeah.
in-house and it was something new in here too, because you know, Cartoon Network had never like done that to have, yeah, something be like completely made in here,
I think
at least
that's,
from Cartoon Network.
yeah, that's so awesome because like this never happens in the US or it's
Yeah, not
extremely
anymore.
rare. Like there are a couple of shows that have been made like entirely in titmouse.
Oh yeah.
But it
Oh,
is
you know what? Which one I will miss forever? Motor City.
yeah, that's a good one.
That one like fucked me up in the best way.
I mean, the animation on that show was pretty groundbreaking at the time. Like
Yeah,
technologically, the way that they like made it so that they could turn around the characters' heads,
yeah,
and
it was like
yeah,
3D 2D.
and there was a lot of really great. There was a lot of just really great action animation in it for especially for something made in the U.S. and yeah, I mean that's Chris P. That's the creator of Titmouse's. It's one of his shows.
Yeah, I that one changed me. Like I actually at one point wanted to work on Titmouse because of Motor City.
Oh wow, that's the inspiration. Hey, but it's cool because you ended up working on a show where the pipeline wasn't exactly the same, but it was similar in the way that
Mm-hmm.
you did everything in house, which is like it's very rare that this would happen. How many of you guys were in the studio? Would you
I can't
say?
remember, but we weren't many people.
Would you say kind of? I don't know. You don't have to answer. But I'm just kind of trying to paint a picture for our listeners. Like, would you say closer to 50 or like 100 or like?
Oh my God, you are being so nice. We were like 20 people at most.
Wow, that is cool to know. Like 20 people is like you can make a whole show with 20 people,
I
y'all.
mean,
It's
well,
hard.
I mean, but I think I'm gonna need to clear up something that the show you saw on HBO Max wasn't made like by those 20 people exactly. Like a lot more people joined, some people left and all that. I mean, that was the first phases
Mm-hmm.
of the studio.
It's weird
So
starting
yeah,
at a studio that is very small and seeing it
it
grow.
was literally starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The interesting part is you get in and you know everybody and you like get to know the creator of the studio and like I think that that can be very different than the experiences that someone might have working actually at Cartoon Network, where you end up never even meeting anybody who's like quote unquote important in the studio or higher up. Like you came in and you knew you could know everybody or meet them all.
Yeah, I mean, our boss will, like, Alan will just be there all the freaking time, and you could like talk to him. Like, if you had a question or anything, like, you could knock on his door. It was like the tiniest freaking room. Like, I think the bathroom was bigger, so it was like the tiniest room with a table and his Cintiq, and you could like just ask, like, "Hey, do you think this looks good?" Or like, even we even had like times when work was over where we will all just talk.
Yeah.
It was very like very. I'm gonna be very honest. It was very informal at first
Mm-hmm.
because hey, it's a new studio made with people, so you're gonna learn a lot along the way. Especially because my boss was like 19, 20 or something when he was doing this. He was like
Wow,
very freaking young. Yeah, he was like 20, I think. Yeah.
that is so crazy when you think about it. That is so crazy. That is cool. That is so crazy.
Yeah, but so that's why, I mean, problems happen, but especially when no one has experience. But I think the good thing is that we got through that. So like right now, we learned a lot. And right now things are so much nicer than they were back then. But that's the experience.
What does it feel like coming in kind of like on the ground floor of something and feeling like with a small team, no matter what, when you're working with a small team, I feel like it feels like you're helping to build something rather than like coming on and you're just like tagging in, like, and everyone else has already developed it and all that stuff. Like, what is it like to come into something like that and watch it grow and grow with it?
It was very cool actually, because my boss is very open to people like suggesting stuff. So you could be like, hey, I think, how about this? And he will be like, maybe not. Or he'll be like, oh, maybe that works. So, and I was glad because I learned a lot. And also he was very patient. So many, many things I know about teaching right now, I took them from him. And because we were also, everyone was teaching everyone whatever they knew. And it was like important for the place to be like, okay, if you know something, you should share it. And he will give us classes when he learned anything.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and he will, like, one time an animator from Riot came to Mexico to a school, and he took us to see him.
Oh, that's so cool. That is so
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, and he will care a lot for us because he was trying.
Yeah,
Yes.
like to build like more than just a studio, like also build like morale and like a team and everything.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, things a lot of things happen, good and bad. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's impossible not for bad things to not happen, you know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My first job was at a small studio, and it was a house too, and there was just like 15 people working in there, and it was
Just
like
15 people?
it was like
50 or 15?
15.
15.
So yeah, so I had started working there like when they had just started as a studio, and basically Fox had made a budget and hired some people to make a studio to basically make like an Adult Swim, but for Fox. They were like, let's try to make like adult comedy shows for Fox. We'll have it air like one night a week. We'll make like 4 shows, something like that. And
Wow.
and so it was like the first year that the studio had been made, there was like, it was just out of this house, and in the back there was a shed that they had converted into a sound like recording booth. And so everything was being made from start to finish. Like the animation was in-house, the writing was done upstairs, the animation was done downstairs. And because of that, I was able to like become very friendly with the bosses of the studio, the main people. And so I recognized that like what working at a small studio feels like, and how like it's it's very hard, but there's also positives to it compared to being at a huge studio where it feels like you don't matter and you get lost in how many people there are.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so you kind of like get the experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's positives and negatives to that, as you have like probably experienced.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, because it was a small studio, it was like there was less rules, so they could also be like, we need everyone to stay until like 10 o'clock tonight to finish this thing, and it's harder to say no, my hours are this hours to this hours.
Yeah.
And you kind of just do it, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that also happens.
Wait, I'm gonna tell like an awful story.
Okay.
I'm not gonna tell names. I'm just gonna say like an awful story. But we will stay late sometimes, but most times we'll just like play games or like talk and all that. No, because it was like, okay, the day is over, but let's play Smash Bros or whatever, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's kind of pretty
Yeah, but
common, where it's like you just
Yeah.
kind of like hang
yeah,
out and you're just kind of like, you're like, man, I would probably go home but what if I just play games with my friends?
yeah. I mean, back at the very beginning, it was like I tell you, it was very informal. From like it started growing, and then when the production grew too, it was like it became a little more formal. But like to this day, it's still pretty chill. So like we will still like right now, today and all that on present day, we still hang out like the people on the studio. Like we had a karaoke day the other like 2 weeks ago or something.
That is so
We
cool.
yeah, we played D&D, and you know we get along nicely with the people. I mean, the at least the people I'm working right now, that don't tell me no, I don't want to do the changes. Yeah, so I think it's nice to deal with that, because it makes the whole process much nicer, and it makes it like it's stressful at times, but it's fun. Oh yeah, I was gonna say that like on phase one of the project, when we were like still learning and all that, we will stay sometimes late to just play or whatever. Because my boss had too much work, he will stay like until 12 o'clock, you know, and everyone will leave, or people will sometimes stay, like just because, oh, he's there. No, you can draw or do whatever you want on the computer while he closes. I remember that we were having fun and all that, and suddenly the one that was our producer, it was hell. Okay, our producer back then was awful. I'm not gonna say names, but it was terrible. He didn't really help us at all. But one day it was like, oh, whoop! I did a fucky whoopsie, and oh, the date I told you, where you can like turn in everything. Well, I kind of fucked up. That's the release date, so you have like less time. Sorry.
It's crazy. Oh
Yeah,
my
and
God.
he did that like a couple of times. It wasn't just like a one-time mistake.
Wow.
No, it was bad. I don't miss that at all. Yeah, so a lot of things became like very stressful because of that, like sometime later. But then it was like, okay, finally it's done. And then it was like, okay, it's coming again. Awful. And I tell you, it didn't happen just once. Actually, there was a time where everyone was like very mad, and a lot of things went down at the studio, because it's understandable when things like that keep happening. Like you keep getting fucked over. So like it becomes stressing. But like now that a lot of things have been like solved, it's like, oh, finally. It's stressing because it's work, but it's fun because I get to hang out with people I like, and we're all trying to teach each other. And oh wait, I don't even remember when I like stopped talking about how I became a supervisor.
Yeah. How?
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. You're good.
I'm sorry. I just do that a lot. Like I just drift away and I like talking. So it's like, hey, let's keep talking. Well, the thing was that I just kept like dipping my toes in many things. Then oh yeah, I was doing cleanup, and I didn't like it much, but then I got used to it, and it was like, okay. I was very slow. Everyone was slow. So then the funny thing you said that, oh, I can't believe you remember these details about these characters. And it's like, yeah, actually, that's how I kind of became a supervisor, because uh, I I will notice tiny details and things that some people didn't. So it was like, oh, that's good that you can see that, right? And my boss was like, oh, that's very good. So you should like check on. I used to check with someone else, and then I became the one that supervised the characters. So but it was basically like starting from the bottom and then just climbing my way up slowly,
You're just
because
building
it
a
was like,
relationship with the people that you're
Yeah.
working with, and they trust you more. And
and then I killed them.
well, that's a good thing you have that bat.
No, no, that would be awful. But yeah, it was like that. And like, for example, I I started learning that I like teaching. So right now I even had like sometimes where I will, like at the beginning of the big production, that for the shorts for, well, the episodes for HBO Max, a lot of things happened and we were on because of the pandemic. But I remember that my boss will be like, okay, I see some of you are still very green, so he will like give classes on Saturdays, like
Oh,
come to
that's
the
cool.
studio and you can learn. Yeah, like free classes basically. So that was nice. And then when the pandemic hit, we had to, like, he was like, I don't want you guys to get sick or anything coming here. So he like sent us home very early before everything went super bad. I will sometimes be like, hey, you know what? I think I can teach my crewmates something. So he will organize a class and I will give it online. And I saw that people learned, and I was very happy.
Are you still teaching people at the studio, or are you teaching people like people online? Like, what is in what aspect are you teaching right now?
Oh, I'm teaching at a oh I'm seeing Sean hold his cat.
He keeps messing with me. So he
Yeah,
walks by, tries to knock something off the desk, and then so I gotta capture him so he stops.
that's so cute. Well, no, I teach to anyone that wants to join an online school. So I mean that one school I teach at it was like founded by a friend of mine that I mean I'm very glad I'm teaching at that school, because I think my friend really wants to see animation flourish here in Latin America. And the funny thing is that when I met him, he didn't even have a school or anything. Like I just met him at a cafeteria, because I was okay. I'm gonna tell this story about the how I how I ended working at that school, the online school. And I was like, well, I was waiting for someone, so I started drawing, and then this my friend, well, back when he wasn't my friend, came in, and he was like, "Oh, are you drawing? Can I see?" And I was like, sure. And then he was like, "Okay, oh, your art is nice." And he was like, "Oh, can I see your sketchbook and all that?" And it's like, "Yeah, sure, go on." And then he was like, "Oh, wow, you like this show called Villainous? Nice, I like it too." And he was like, "Oh, really? Glad you like it." Because he was like, "Oh, wow, it came out looking almost like the real character, you know?" And I was like, yeah."
When did you drop the bomb on him? When were you like, guess what?
Yeah, he kept asking, and he was like, "So what do you work in?" And I was like, "Oh, I work in villains." He was like, "Holy shit." It was very funny.
That
That
is funny.
is such a cartoon
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I was like, and then we became friends after that.
That is so cool. So now you teach, and is the studio still operating? Are you still working at the studio? or are you
Right
doing
now,
both?
not really, because
Mm.
right now we're on hold.
Mm.
And like I've had people like ask me like, when will it come back and all that? And it's like, I don't know. I have
Oh
no idea.
no,
I
yeah.
can't say because I don't know.
Well, it looks like
And
it's
you know how
given you the opportunity to work on some personal project. Is that what
Yeah.
Billie and Basil is? Is that something that's your own that you've been working on?
Yeah, I just wanted to make it short. Like okay, funny sad thing, but I kind of don't have money anymore because I spent it on doing this short because I was like, okay, honestly, I don't work for free. Why should anyone work for free? You know,
Mm-hmm.
to me.
I get it.
And yeah, and I work with my the people I work on villainous mostly.
Yeah, because it came out so good. I was like, wow, this is like very high quality.
Thank you.
Sure, it's so good.
Thank you. But yeah, I work mostly with the people and with a few people from another studio that also work on villainous with us.
I'm curious, in between working at the studio and working on the short, other steps of the process that you've been learning in addition to like your own like designing, or are you how much do you do storyboards or animation or like other parts of the process on nowadays? Like have you played around with other steps of the animation process? Do you do a little of everything?
A bit, yeah, because I'm actually glad about that because I think that's the good thing about working in-house, and especially because like you could be like, I want to try this, and my boss would be like, okay, sure, and everyone was teaching everyone what they knew. So also, I actually did the short because we were not working at that moment
Mm-hmm.
on this. We were. I'm gonna say something sad, but I started working on the short as after we were done with. We were doing a web comic, a villainous web comic, but it got killed out of nowhere.
Oh
Oh
no.
man.
Yeah, and it's not even. It wasn't even for a tax write-off. It's something dumber, but I can't say it. But it's just believe me, it's way dumber than a tax write-off, if that's even possible.
Did
Oh
a
my God.
producer forget that
Mm.
it's canceled or something like?
Uh, no, we're not working with that producer anymore.
He's like, so I forgot to tell you, this has been canceled for a whole year now, and I forgot to tell you.
Oh my
He could
God.
have done that, I think. The one thing that sucked was that the comics we made two web comics. They are gone now. I mean, they are re-uploaded, but one day it was just like, why is it gone? And they just like killed everything. There were some other comics too, made by people from Latin America, and they also killed them.
Wait, so they were just gone? Like, it's not even just that they stopped the comic; they took it all offline.
Yeah, they just okay.
That sucks.
Yeah, Cartoon Network Latin America had an app,
Mm.
and one day they just deleted the app,
Wow.
like just like that. And I know the reason, but it's so stupid, and I don't want to say it.
Someone definitely sat on their phone. They sat on their phone and they accidentally pressed delete.
Yeah, basically, well, it's something even dumber than that, but close.
It's okay. I'm not gonna get you to talk. That's really
Oh
stupid.
my gosh, that is, yeah, that
Yeah,
is so, yeah, that's so sad, man. That's what's so hard sometimes with this industry, maybe in the US or in Latin America, is like when you're working for a studio, you never really know what can happen to your work because it's like at the end of the day, the studio, like the or like the network owns it, and there's
yeah,
no warranty of like what will happen to the work. That is, yeah, it's so insane.
Because I feel like we used to look at studios like Cartoon Network as these invincible places that are always going to be around,
Yeah.
and then like nothing is certain. Like things get bought and
Mm.
mergers happen and all kinds of funky stuff.
yeah. Horrible. And I think it sucks that I see it keeps happening more and more that some people will just be like, one day they have a job and the next day you think you're gonna go to your normal job and then it's like, hey, it's gone. Like out of nowhere. That's fucked up.
Yeah, it's very I could see it being like traumatic in the way that it's just kind of like it's so shocking, right? It's like you because it's like so out of nowhere that it's like, oh, you need to like kind of like go through grief, kind of like, oh, that
Yeah, because
hurt. Yeah.
I believe artists put a lot of their love and into their work. So
Mm-hmm.
to have that just like deleted, yeah, it doesn't even have a ceremonial death, you know?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just like one day you just like in video games too, like one day you just learn that you don't have a job and everything you
Yeah.
did is just gets thrown away. And that was something that didn't happen before.
Yeah, I wish that like when your pilot or something got canceled, that they would put all the drawings on a boat and put it out to sea and then set the boat on fire like a Viking funeral, or like just like shoot 30 guns off into the air, like, or like some sort of celebration, like mourning ceremony, because like it's like half the time it's just an email, like you don't even get a call, like you just get an email like
Or you find
gotta
out on
cease
Twitter.
production.
That's even worse.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I mean,
That
it
is
hasn't happened to me yet, but I have seen so many people say that I was just browsing Twitter and then I learned my show got canned.
Yeah, it's like a nightmare. At least shoot me out of a cannon.
Yeah, like set me on fire and throw me to
Put me on
in
that
the
boat
lake.
with my
Yeah,
drawings.
exactly.
Bury me in a
Yeah.
pyramid. Yeah.
No, yeah, I think that's so fucked up. I don't know. I just wanted to change so bad. Like, can someone fix that, please? Please, anyone.
Well, I don't think anything lasts forever, good and bad. I think that
Yeah,
new things
this too
are
shall
going to
pass.
happen, and we can get into positions of power and make the thing that we always dreamed of making, or help other people make the thing that you always wanted people to be able to make. So I mean, that's the goal, right? To get better people in places where they can do something about how fucked up everything is.
Yeah. That's, that's the hope, like we got to build stuff and be the change we want to see.
Yeah, that's actually why I made my short indie, and because I could have had the chance to like sell it. I'm dark now. Now I really look Mexican.
Well, now,
On the drawing,
we're subtracting light now. It's hard because when you blend colors on here, like the markers are so big, so like you have to like color the whole face in, and then you're trying to like use the different colors, and then you draw really quick in the hopes that you don't leave a drawing for too long with like coloring in someone's face the wrong color, or like I'm like, ah, like you're watching. I have to make it look more like you.
Don't worry, it's funny. Wait, I think what's missing is the third eye, because we were talking.
Oh yeah, draw a third eye on there.
Yeah, there we go.
Perfect. Now it is complete.
Lesson 1: 3 eyes.
Yeah, exactly. You want your show to be successful? 3 eyes.
3 eyes.
There we go.
We have a lot of really cool questions that from our listeners, and I'm hoping maybe we could get through most of them. One that I think is really cool is from Sylvia._IGS on Instagram. They ask, have you ever lost interest in art?
Oh, yeah, actually, I have. And I don't think that, well, I'm going to be very serious. I don't think that's totally a bad thing. I think, like, we as people, as humans, are constantly changing. So Like for example, I know I don't draw much anymore. I haven't for a while. Like I will say even almost a year where I don't draw much anymore. And that used to frustrate me a lot, like some time ago, but it doesn't frustrate me anymore because it's like, okay, you know what? Maybe the inspiration will come to me like maybe, I don't know, in 3 years, perhaps. And it's like 3 years is a lot. And when you're older, time just passes. So
Yeah.
yeah, like you blink and suddenly it's like, oh, it's been a year. So that's a good and bad. I don't think it's that bad of a thing because it's like, oh no, I wasted time. It's like, I don't think so. Like it's normal to feel like you're wasting time. I have felt that so many times that I'm wasting so much of my time. But I was like, you know what? Right now I don't want to draw unless I'm being paid to, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, okay, maybe now, like drawing was my hobby when I was in high school, and that got me a job, which is good. But right now, it's not my hobby anymore. It's just my job, and that's not bad. I have other hobbies, and I think it's important to have other hobbies. So when you get tired of drawing or something, you can go there and rest and then go back to drawing. Because like, okay, right now I don't want to draw. So you know what? What do I want to do? I want to take care of my plants. I recently adopted a kitty, so I'm taking care of her. I'm going out now with like I'm meeting new people and all that. So learning about the city. Like this city, Mexico City is so big, you never really finish like learning about it. So it's like, okay, I don't want to draw right now. I'm gonna take a walk. I'm gonna set my mind on something else. And that I think that helps. And it's also good because something I have seen from my like for example from my students is like, oh, I love animation and I ask them, oh, what else do you like? Oh, I only like animation. Or I see that, oh, I decided on an old lady, right? Or something. And I'll be like, did you research about old people? Or did you research anything else? And they'll be like, oh, not really. And it's like, yeah, I can tell. I can tell you don't look at your surroundings when you go out, or that maybe you need to go out more because like animation takes from real life, right? So if you're missing on real life, like you're I tell them like this, like there's so much going around you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't open your eyes to see it, you're missing out on so many things, on so many stories, on so many experiences that will help you get inspiration. So many times when like you don't want to do anything, it's like, okay, maybe the best thing to do now is just rest.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't force yourself because the only thing that comes out from like forcing
Mhm.
yourself to do that is just getting burnout.
I feel like a good analogy here is like sometimes you realize that for the past few years you've been like a watering can pouring things out of yourself, but are you putting enough back in to replenish that like water coming out, to water your plants or to make your creations grow or whatever? Like
Yeah.
if you're not spending time to take things in, like are you just kind of pouring yourself out for the sake of pouring yourself out, even though it's like not helping anything? Is it just because like it's a muscle memory or whatever? So I do think it's good to live your life, recharge, do other things, research old ladies. I once a day I Google old people just to check on them, see if they're up to
Check
this,
on them.
see if they're up to the same stuff. See what they're up to.
Let's see if they got green clear.
Yeah, they did. Found out they've been getting a little
Turns
bit
out
wrinklier lately.
that's good. One thing I said before starting the podcast, but I like that you have so many different people from so many different backgrounds because that's so rich. Because if you just have the same kind of people, not everyone is the same. So maybe someone that's listening to the podcast like can relate to an experience from someone from Latin America, but not from someone that, oh, I lived in LA and I went to the best schools.
Exactly.
And yeah, because most people from here, from Latin America, they'll be like, oh, my dream is to go study on, I don't know, CalArts or I can't remember any other schools. But yeah, so one thing I do appreciate about my boss is that, what are you doing?
Drawing how wrinkly I'm drawing my research. You can keep talking.
Excellent. Listen, as a teacher and as a supervisor, I'm like, very well.
Very well.
I can tell you have been doing your research.
I've memorized all the nooks and crannies, and that's how you can tell I should be a character designer.
Yeah, hire this man, Nintendo.
Thank you, please, Nintendo. Nintendo doesn't have a single character with this many wrinkles. This is like anti-Nintendo.
They're missing out. They're missing out, okay?
That would be so funny if they did.
Oh my god, the amount of wrinkles is like the one you see on a Smiling Friends character.
Yeah.
For real.
Oh my god, I love it. It's like a worst troll face or something. Well, oh yeah, I was saying something inspiring, but
but I took away. I distracted from it by drawing these
why is
old
his
person.
forehead so big?
The wrinkles go all the way back, all the way around the head, all the way down to the butt. If you look at the back of the character, like if they raise their eyebrows on the front, it raises all the way up. It raises all the way up top, and then down the back, and all the way down the butt, and then the butt is like this too, and the forehead wrinkles go all the way down.
Yeah, it's like a worse version of a Sphinx cat.
Oh my god, yes.
I love this man. If I saw this man on the street, maybe I'd scream.
Yeah, that's my reaction to people I love too.
You love them from afar, but then if
Yeah,
you get
exactly,
too close,
exactly.
you scream.
Exactly. I may scream just a little bit, but I love him still.
You know, we were talking about how, sometimes for some listeners, it might not be as relatable to listen to someone who like goes through all the big school in the US, because that might not be what they have available. That kind of leads me to this question from Chet Sally on Instagram. What would be your advice for artists traveling overseas to learn animation?
I wouldn't know much because first, I mean, I've had students from my online school ask me that, like, should I try to do? And it's like, okay, honestly, I don't know, because for some people it's gonna be the best thing, and for some others it's gonna be the worst thing. So, like studying overseas and all that, since everyone is different, like maybe someone's experience is not gonna be the same as anyone else's. So maybe it will be like, oh, now I finally learned how to do this. I don't know. Or you could also, because many people don't have money. So that's actually why I didn't study anywhere, because I was like, I don't have money for this. Like staying somewhere like rent and paying school, all that is hard. So I think you have to like really, really want it, and to be like, okay, I have to take advantage of everything I'm gonna learn, and or unless you have like a lot of disposable income, right? Maybe even then it won't be as good as you thought it will be, or maybe it will be even better. There's no way to know. But something I appreciate of the newer internet, I guess, is that, and that's something I tell my students too, that okay, right now you have it so much better, because if you want to know how to use something or learn how to draw something, there's a million tutorials made by so many people. And when I was like a kid, so many things were not available. So yeah, I mean, you can study like if it's gonna make you happy, and if you think that's what's gonna help you, maybe it will. but many people don't have the chance to do that. So I think learning like with the resources that are online now is a good way to manage. Like it's not over if you can't go to the best schools. I think it's over when you like just give up, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
That's really great advice. I like that. Yeah, like especially what you said that like it depends so much on the person and like on their resources and also their personality because like you said, for some people it really might not work at all. Um we have a lot of questions asking you about your inspiration. I think Sylvia._IGS asks it, Lolico_99, and
Well, I got a lot of questions.
Dune_Fuss asks, they ask, what are your inspirations that got you to work in the animation industry?
Samurai Jack.
Okay. Yeah, Samurai Jack. I owe it all to Samurai Jack. Thank you. And now I know we have been officially married because you draw it.
Yeah, Sean drew it, so it's like now it's real. Now it's
Yeah.
real.
I wish I could go back in time to my back in time Samurai Jack and tell my 7-year-old self like, you know what, you do get married. I know you wanted to get married. Turns out you do get married to Samurai Jack.
I think you also okay. So somebody on YouTube, Era Hirats asks. They say, "I love Ami's work. Do you have a specific obsession that you can't stop thinking about that you want to draw or draw all the time?" And I think from your Twitter, there is maybe one that you haven't mentioned yet.
God damn it!
Uh-oh.
Oh no. Okay, actually that happens. Maybe it's my neurodivergent brain. I'm gonna say something, but
call it out. Call it out.
Are you sure? Maybe I should talk about my inspirations that not only Craig McCracken and Lauren Faust and that's more serious things like Jenny Tartakovsky and Jamie Hewlett. That's better.
That's better. Sorry.
No. Yeah. Okay. Recently, I was kind of forced into like watching One Piece and it bored me. I'm sorry. I like the political stuff on it, but I just like 3 characters, and I'm like, my mind has been like marching around those 3 characters for a while. So it's like, I'm sorry. I'm gonna draw it. I'm gonna.
Draw it.
We all love One Piece here, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I'm reading it now because I'm sorry, but I tried watching it, got to episode 200, and I was like, I'm so tired.
I think it's hard to watch it.
It takes a lot of effort. I think that also it goes a little bit slow at the beginning because of the anime format of that time. I think that the current anime that's coming out right now feels a lot more slick and like the story's a little bit more condensed. Like there used to be a lot of filler. Yeah, it's hard. I mean, there's a lot of One Piece out there and it's kind of intimidating.
Yeah, no, I got tired. Like, I'm sorry. I really tried to watch it and all that, but it's like I'm sorry, it was too much. But I'm reading it and I like reading it better because it's like there's no filler in the reading.
Yeah.
And people told me like One Piece doesn't have filler, and it's like, I'm sorry, but it does.
No,
it
for
does.
sure. For sure
it's inside the episodes, so you know
can't
all
the parts like the parts in between the islands, like that's mostly filler. There's a lot of non-canon stuff that
exactly, and I didn't know that. Like the friend that got me into One Piece told me that later, and I was like, okay. He even told me you can skip this, and I was like, thank you, I'm gonna skip that.
So are you obsessed with the Cross Guild right now?
I'm sorry. Why are you calling me out like that? Just like you didn't even like try to hide it or anything. Like I'm on episode 200, but it's like I'm gonna get upset with something over that's not gonna happen for a while.
What is your opinion on the Krakomama theory.
That's
Do you,
so funny. What the
are
hell?
you aware? Are you aware of
Yeah,
that theory?
I got a lot of spoilers, honestly.
Well, it's not even spoilers. It's just it's a conspiracy theory that the fan base has that Crocodile is secretly Luffy's mom who got a gender transition
I love how there are
Be-
so many trans characters in One Piece, apparently.
because there's a character that can change someone's appearance and like gender. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
know. As my friend told me about that, and I was like, can Oda please turn Buggy into a woman? I want to see him as a woman. I want him to be a woman. He will look cuter. He will look so much cuter.
He's already cute as a dude.
Yeah, he's like ugly cute, you know, like
Yes.
what we were telling. Yeah, I keep thinking about that, how he's like ugly cute. He's so stupid. I love him so much.
I like that in all of his recent designs, he makes himself look like really, really big, like he's like a huge rectangle too.
Yeah, it's like those. I like how it's like those silly toys that are like okay, you have seen the clown little toys that are like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are like this, and they have like their little. Yeah, so that's what he's doing. He's stupid. I love him. He wants to be big. Yeah, there we go.
That is so cute.
Little fitties.
Anyway, that was the a little One Piece tangent. I'm
A little One Piece tangent.
I'm always up for it. One Piece
Yeah.
is my favorite anime, so I'm up for it.
Yeah, but I only like those three characters, and the thing is that I didn't know about them, but then I saw fan art, and I was like, I told my friend when I found out it was One Piece, I was like, hey, who are these characters? And he kind of like told me a bit, and he forced me to watch One Piece.
Yeah, well,
It was like
One Piece has my favorite in all of anime. It has my favorite way of designing characters and making characters' personalities part of their costume out of anyone. Like I love how they stylize shapes and make, like, you know, if someone's all about being a candle, they it's part of how they look, or like whatever. And I like that. I like how wild and cartoony it is, and I was always a huge fan of that. As someone who
only thing I don't like is that like Oda draws women pretty much the same all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah.
I think he draws them how his wife is. He models a lot of the women characters
the dynamic cosplayer. Okay, I remember he once did something like, I'm gonna draw a woman, and he was like he did this.
He starts with the boobs.
Yeah, and he's like, there we go. That's how you draw a woman. It's like,
oh my god.
Yeah, it's on one of the mangas.
He pretty much has two female body types. Like it's either
it's like the big one or the skinny.
Big rectangle that looks like this.
Yeah, like Big Mom. It's either Big Mom or Nami Recolor.
I did like when he did what's her face, the witch who was with Chopper.
I love that.
I thought she was
like,
cool.
Oh, that's very original. Yeah, I loved it.
She was still a stick figure, but she was like, it was cool to see like an old woman, like a cool old woman. I think he like said that he modeled her after Madonna.
Oh, that's cool.
There's also been arcs where it's because of his editor. Like there's been arcs where a specific editor was more into that sort of like fan service stuff and would ask him to, like, he would make like a whole arc about visiting like a female island because of that editor. So there's there's multiple things at play here.
Yeah, I 100% believe that like all of the women on the ship got the skimpy outfits because of the editor. Because I think Oda. Okay, this is my personal
There's no
fan.
romance in One Piece. Like there's no in the
no
story.
romance.
There's no romance.
I think Oda is probably Arrow Ace or something. I think in this world, romance and women are not like important for romance. They're characters.
I like that.
And because Luffy doesn't care about
I
any
like
of
that.
that.
I really like that he's like, wow, Ace rep in the weirdest way, but I like that.
And the way that Sanji acts is almost like he's making fun of somebody who acts like that rather than like
Yes.
him genuinely. I get that feeling too sometimes.
Yeah, I think
Anyway.
I hope.
there's something that's very, I don't know, that's very like sweet about the way that he sees like gender interacting, where it's like it's very, you know.
The only thing is weird is he does not. I mean, he's another one of those creators that like Luffy's just never been interested in his mom, or I mean, not that he's that interested in
I
his
mean, in
dad
Crocodile,
either,
right?
but
Yeah, no, in his parents,
Crocodile.
like
When I learned that about like the head canon thingy, I was like, okay, remember that Fairy Odd Parents episode that's like, wow, who's that woman? Do you have her number? That's not a woman, that's my dad. It's like, wow, Luffy, do you know that guy's number, please? Your mom is hot. Do you have her number?
Yeah, I
You
mean,
have his number, your mom? Yeah.
I do think it's very funny how in depth the theories in One Piece are. That being said, I also know that we've kind of went off the deep end in this conversation.
Yeah, I realized that.
So you know, but
because we do have some really cool questions that I really do want to
No,
get
it's
to.
important to talk about One Piece.
One Piece, we did it, you guys. We might not have the time to get to every single question, but I
But
think
One Piece came in the conversation.
it was the most important part.
Yeah.
At Flippy Super on Twitter asks, how do you see the current state of the animation industry in Latin America? If you have any
Oh boy, bad. Like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be honest. But I also think that many people can come together to work on stuff, you know. I think you guys know about Señor Pelo and Sticky Monk.
yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. I worked on a few of the, like, I think 3 of Spooky Months on cleanup mostly.
Mm.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, that's made by a Mexican guy. Like, he's doing his best. He tries to sell merch, and it's indie animation, you know, from here.
Let's get Palo on the show.
You should. Hey, you should get Pelo and Alan, you know, like 2 Latin American creators.
That would be awesome. I
Yeah,
mean,
that'd be
he's
sick.
amazing. Like, if
Yeah,
he
he's
ever
very fun, and he's cool. He's very cool. He's like genuine. Like, it's one of those people that when I met in real life, I was like, oh God, please don't be
Weird.
awful, right? Like,
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, you are so nice. You are so genuinely nice. Thank God.
That is funny because it is true. Like, his animations are like so unhinged that it's really interesting. I wonder, it is like it's, you know, it's like these kind of creators where you're like, wonder, are you exactly like in your animations? You know?
He's very funny, so yeah.
Yeah, just
No, but-
meet him in real life, and he's like, ah! You know?
But it's like I have met so many people because of like animation, and it's been nice. So like, even if it, like, the industry itself seems kind of grim, it's
Mm.
not like it's a lost cause, you know?
Mm.
So I think it's important to remember that that's like at the end of the day, the companies and all that are doing things we love, but also it's made by people. So it's good to be reminded that, hey, I am people. I know people, and they make cool things too. So reaching out and all that.
We have a question from Fujil on Twitter who asks, is there something other than animation jobs you really want to do in life but haven't for any reason?
That's a very good question. Actually, yeah. Like right now, I haven't been having much animation jobs lately, honestly. I mean, mostly that's been how everyone's been going lately. So right now I'm glad I can teach animation, but I only do it like on weekends. So I'm actually gonna be like, okay, like gonna say something about myself, but I like witchy things and all that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and one time I learned that I can, like, how's it called, that I can like cleanse with my hands.
Oh, is it magnetism?
not exactly magnetism, but I don't know. I don't even know what it is because I haven't had someone teach me properly, but I've been healing people through that. And it's like, hey, nice. That's actually cool. I can manage to do that.
That is so cool. How did you figure out that you could do that? How did you like figure out that you could do that?
I think I mean, it's kind of common in Mexican culture to be like brujeria and all that.
Mm.
So because of that, it's like, okay, I once had someone like do something very bad to me, and I tried to like throw it away, and then I realized it worked, and it was like, oh, okay. And then I kept trying to do it, and then I realized I could like heal. So I'm gonna try to do that now, like to focus on that more, because it actually brings me joy to do that. So in the meantime, while I kind of like regain my joy for drawing, I guess I can, I don't know, I can try to. It's this is something I hadn't like talked online ever.
You heard it first on Creative Block, everybody.
There we
Block
go.
exclusive.
Yeah, there we go.
That is so
yeah.
That is so cool. Well, we had so many other questions from Lolico99, Cornelia Doodles. Thank you all for your questions, but we really want to get to the question that is at the heart of this podcast, which you kind of touch on right now. The question is,
Who's your favorite One Piece character?
Who's your favorite?
That's the question you've all been waiting for.
Do you ever experience creative block? And if you do, what do you do to
Yeah,
deal with it?
I freaking do. And that's actually why I kind of like stopped drawing for a bit, but I'm chill about it. Like, okay, I know it will eventually come back. For example, for my short, there were many things I could have done, I guess, because I know how to do them. But I also was like, I have no energy to do that. So
Yeah.
I asked my friends and I pay them because I pay everyone to do that. And I still, even with that block, with that art block, creative block, I managed to do something because I got help from my friends. So I think that's very important to like not remember you're not alone and to reach out and to have your friends reach out to you too. Because yeah, if I had done that all by myself, first of all, it wouldn't have come out as great. Because yeah, I mean, I know how to do backgrounds, kind of. I know how to do animation. I know how to do cleanup. I know how to do whatever, right? But when someone gets involved, it gets so much better. So yeah, there were many things that I was like, I don't know how to do this. I'm blocked. I have no creative like fluids going right now. It's like, please, someone help. So I will like in Slack, I will just say like, does anyone have like a good idea for like, for example, there's a plant, like the man-eater plant on the short, and I didn't really know how to design it first. So like my friends drew designs, and then something stick, and it was like, hey, no, this is good, and then it helped. And also, like for example, I couldn't write
The outline?
yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
I couldn't figure out an outline. Like that's what actually got me stuck a lot because I couldn't like move forward without it. And I really didn't know how to keep going, and I wanted to do the short. So I I just asked for help, like help me with this. And I asked my boss to help me, and he did the outline. He did he did the script.
Oh, so cool.
So
It's nice working with the team.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like I managed to do something that and everyone like put their best efforts, and it came out looking nice, I think. But yeah, because I was blocked, so without their help, I wouldn't have done anything.
That is such a great answer because we haven't really talked about that much. I feel like we get the shower a lot, but we don't get like, reach out to a team.
Animation is so collaborative, you know?
Yeah, exactly. One thing I tell my students too is that animation is not, you're not an island in animation, you know? You have to work with people. You can't be like the rock star that does everything. It's like it's a team job. And that's a good thing. You can't be like I will do everything better. It's like everyone does everything better. Like the teamwork does the dream job, you know? Reaching out and talking to a team and or even just your friends and all that can go a long way. Like for example, if it hadn't been for my friends and all that, I wouldn't have also made the short because I was giving up. Like I gave up a lot of times. But it's like thanks for sticking up, you know? So it came out.
That is so awesome. Yeah, community is so important. I think it's definitely one of the most important things about art making, and it's so often overlooked. And so
Yeah, it's very
so
overlooked,
cool.
I think, and
So cool.
because people think like I can do everything by myself. And it's like, okay, maybe you can, but it's not gonna
Yeah.
be that nice. It's so good to have like people, to have friends that will help you to, you know, and also when you are down, it will help put you back up on your feet. So yeah, I think that's one of the most like overlooked and important things in animation. And not even only animation, just like in general, like, hey, go out and socialize. It's
Yeah.
important. It's like a human need.
Especially as artists, we tend to forget that because artists were like so like kind of like loners and stuff.
Yeah,
It's so
but it's
true. I feel like
I said before, it's
remembering.
like, okay, better stories come from like experiences and all that. And the more you experience the world and the more you experience people, like better things come out.
Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
have to be an artist and a loser. This is just a little bit of a pep talk
You
for
can
all
just
you
be a
guys out at
loser.
home. Yeah, you can just be a loser or not an artist, or you could be an artist and not a loser.
Pick your battle, pick your class.
Yeah, don't be both, because basically if you do both it's like a double whammy. You know, you're already like oh, you don't play sports, like you draw, and then you're adding loser on top of that. At least have some friends. No, I'm just kidding. This is crazy. That would be a crazy take for me to come out with.
That is so unhinged. This is the last part of the pod, everybody. If you're listening on Spotify, make sure you check out the YouTube version to see our amazing bodacious witches.
Listen, sex sells, and we're trying to make this podcast the biggest it can be by drawing big hourglass babes. It's one thing that we're known for.
Make them.
In the last 20 minutes of every pod, we try to turn everyone on as much as we can through bodacious babe drawings.
Now that you tuned in, you're getting turned on.
You turn this on, and then we gotta return the favor. Thanks, guys.
I love this podcast.
And then you can put little witch hats here and here and here.
Oh my god, that is actually too funny. I really think Sean is like next level. Sometimes he comes up with shit and I'm like, that is crazy. That is actually so funny.
Because it's such a stupid idea that most people don't suggest it. People are like, no, that would never work. And then I'm like,
yeah,
it
but you
just
proved
might
them wrong.
work.
Yeah, you said it won't work. Watch me.
Yeah, check out the YouTube video if you want to see Sean's incredible bachelorette.
Yeah, I feel like you're upselling this. I feel like people are gonna get to the YouTube, and then they're not gonna be. I feel like we're overselling how cool this is.
I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's great.
I think maybe it's because it's like late at night and I'm just like, I don't know. I just think it's like hilarious. But maybe y'all, thank you so much, Ami, for coming on the podcast. And it was so much fun talking about all this stuff. And so unfortunately, every good thing has to end, and that is the end of this creative block. Ami, thank you so much for being our guest on your story.
Thank you so very much for letting me join.
And thanks to our listeners. Follow us on social media at CRTV Block, where we ask for drawing prompts and questions to ask our guests. Huge thanks to our editor Clemens for editing the podcast, Marco for helping us produce the show, and Ibuka for creating the short clips we've been putting out.
If you love our show, you can support us on Patreon. Becoming a patron gets you early access to interviews and access to our Discord community. Another great way you can support us is by interacting with our content. You can like, subscribe, comment, all these good things. Share. The more people we have listening to the pod, the more we can just reach out to more amazing guests.
The more the merrier.
Exactly. Click the link in the description of this episode to follow Ami on all her socials and to check out our Patreon. I have been your host, V.
And I've been Sean. Keep being creative and draw horny witch stuff. I'll see you next week.
That's the stuff. Yeah.
Bye.